following podcast is recorded and produced by the Podcast Precinct in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com. The Podcast Precinct. Consistency, creativity, culture.
The Nostalgia Funhouse proudly dedicates all episodes in the loving memory of Connie Chirac. So, Johnny, I've been hearing really great things about this Nostalgia Funhouse. It just brings back so many great memories.
Andrew, the only reason I'm moving in line with you here is that you really vouched for this show. So I'm just going to believe you that this is the show that, I've been wanting, which is just talking about all the fun stuff from our yesteryear and the years before. And I really hate anything meta. So I'm glad that what we're doing right now is not that.
Oh, no, definitely. What is meta? Isn't that Ron Artest's new name?
Well, add World and Peace to it, sure.
Yeah, but this is great. They last year they were tiering play sets and Halloween costumes.
Well, that sounds cool.
They get these weird court recordings from pop culture courts.
Does anybody care about court cases?
These ones are kind of cool. They put Scott Kelvin on trial. Poor old Santa Claus there.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, man. You know what's the best part about this is though? Is I hear they always got a really great sponsor. You can check it out right there.
We're back with WCW. Goldberg's in trouble. Ming to the front. Back he goes to the turnbuckle. Into the gut. But Goldberg rebounds with a headbutt. Ming on the outside. Ming gets a chair. Goldberg gets a chair. This could get ugly. They're gonna eat pizza.
Little Caesars WCW meal. Get a free WCW motion card when you order 2 medium pizzas for just $9.99. Collect all 4.
Pizza.
I'll trade you these 3 for a Goldberg. Nope.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to...
Hey, whoa, Johnny, can't.
What?
You can't say it. It's copywritten. Michael Buffett has that.
Oh, yeah. Let's get ready to record a podcast. All right, that'll be $5,000, Andrew.
Are you going to copyright that?
Yeah. For the record, that's what that guy got paid every time he did that, was $5,000 just to come out and say that on WCW.
Speaking of weird things that are copywritten, is Three-Peat is owned by Pat Riley. So when the Bulls won those championships, Pat Riley made money.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he owns the rights to Three-Peat.
Wow, you can just copyright everything.
Yeah, I think as long as it's not a standard word,
yeah,
or a standard phrase, you can copyright it.
Man. So every time I hear all those people saying, let's get into it, like I always have done on Retro Bliss for a long time, I can't sue them.
No, unless you copyright it.
Man, I don't think I can. I've heard 1 million people use that now.
Yeah, but
I know.
You can copyright it, and then they have to stop or pay you.
Oh, that's a good idea. It's did you hear about that Taco Tuesday ordeal that's happening right now?
No.
So apparently there is this small restaurant that actually owns Taco Tuesday, and Taco Bell
is it Taco Casa?
I think so. It's something like that. But Taco Bell is trying to take it to court for them to not be able to have that on there because they're claiming that should be for everybody. When everybody knows deep down, Taco Bell just wants to be able to use that phrase.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think it's Taco Casa. I think you're right. That sounds right to me.
Oh, Taco John's.
Oh, Taco John's. There we go. Sorry, Taco John's.
Oh, because there's a place here, chain, kind of like Taco Bell, Taco Casa, and they do Taco Tuesdays.
Oh, don't say that out loud. Never going to get them in trouble. You need to beep out that. Should be Taco beep.
Beep. I know. Then my daughter will lose her job.
Oh, see, it's getting worse. Family employment is dependent upon this place, so we can't get them in trouble.
And she made her first big purchase where she
I thought you was gonna say taco.
No. where she has to kind of pay a bill.
I know she's been there for a month or so, right?
Yeah.
She's been there a little bit now. So it'd be funny if she just now made her first big taco.
But when she wanted a new phone. And me, I don't pay for phones. And she was like, I want the iPhone 14 Max. And I was like, you can get whatever phone you want.
Yeah, but you're
But
paying for it. Yeah.
you're paying. I was like, I'll pay for your service, but you're going to be paying monthly.
I think that's a fair deal.
You're going to be paid. So every month now, she dreads it, but she has to pay me $30.
Yeah.
And I gave her a deal because the lady at the store said it would be 31. And I said, let's just make it 30. So I gave her that dollar off.
This is win-win, I think. This is win-win. Because when I went and got my last phone upgrade, I upgraded from like an iPhone 5 to whatever this is. And this one was already like 2 years old by the time I got it. I never get the latest ones because I just am like, I'm not paying that.
I just got a 13.
Yeah.
That's only because
Oddly enough, 13 is how old I'm pretty sure the people were who wrote the movie we're talking about.
Oh yeah.
Today.
Yes. And we are talking about the movie Ready to Rumble, the WCW movie.
Buenos nachos.
Corey, I didn't know you spoke Spanish. Are you fluent?
No. I feel fine.
Gordy and Sean had dead-end jobs.
People always said I was a dreamer, an idiot, and a waste of life, and I will never amount to anything. Hit me, baby, one more time.
No luck with the ladies.
Brittany, let's go out again. We'll talk about me and you. Dude, you're in there.
And no one to look up to.
Freeze! Your sister shot her first perp today. That's nice, Gabby.
But at least they had a hero.
Jimmy King is the greatest wrestler of all time.
Wrestling's fake.
Wrestling's not fake! Down goes Jimmy King! Oh my god, a four-post massacre! No one can survive this! This isn't even a pay-per-view! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! Damn it! We made it! We're live! Would that be raw sewage I'm smelling? I kinda always like that smell.
Now these dreamers
Me and my associate, we're on a quest to find King. It's him! King!
will go to any lengths
Please cry out! No! Oh, that was great!
and do whatever it takes
We got a friend. He's gonna get you a trainer. Everybody knows wrestling's fake.
to put their king
Do I feel fine?
back on his throne.
Any match, anytime. The steel cage. Steel cage wins. Whoa! It's done. Bring it on!
We are ready to rumble!
You chicks rock. Woof, woof, woof.
Ready to rumble.
Now, let me ask you this, Andrew. Ready to Rumble. If you did not look up when this movie came out, when would you guess this movie came out?
Okay, so I had an idea of it because, not to humble brag, but I saw this in the movie theaters.
Not to humble brag, but I too also saw this.
Okay.
In the theater.
This was a $3 Wednesdays.
You overpaid.
Yeah. But I had a feeling it was late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, I kind of think if you did not know anything about this movie and just watched it coming in with a clean slate completely, and you watch this, you would never in a million years think this is past 1997.
Yeah, I couldn't remember if it was like 98 or something of that nature.
I think it actually came out in 2000,
It did. It came out
which blew my mind.
April 7th of 2000. It's got a great running time of 107 minutes.
So let's just set the scene for this movie.
Here.
So WCW.
Here,
Go ahead.
before we do it, all right?
Yeah.
'Cause we're talking very highly about this movie here.
Oh, we are, yeah.
Is the budget was $24 million. Box office 12.5. Now we know why we never seen a Ready to Rumble 2.
Kind of a shame.
Yep. but you are the WCW man. So
yes. All right. So when it comes to the world of pro wrestling, I grew up being a big WCW nerd. I'm from the South. They're considered a Southern company, and like all my favorites were there. I watched them before I got into the WWF stuff. So, but I did love both. If I'm being honest, I'm one of those guys who just likes wrestling in general. So when I knew, I also, this again is a giant brag. I understand, ladies, calm down, like just calm down, ladies. But I also subscribe to the WCW magazine.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Yeah.
And you're still single?
I don't understand it. All these things I put in my dating profile, so what's subscribed to the WCW magazine. And for some reason, I don't get any, no one bites at that bait. I don't understand why.
Oof.
Yeah. I should be like people should, how am I not getting envelopes that smell like perfume?
I don't know.
Just makes no sense. But
you had a subscription to the WCW magazine.
Yes, I sure did. I had the magazines that I would get would be that one, and EGM was a video game magazine. And that pretty much describes my childhood.
Good old. Okay, not to get too off. I was a Game Pro guy.
I did like Game Pro too, but I could only get one. So I was a kid, and my parents were like, "We'll get you one." And I was like, all right, I gotta get EGM because that was the one that I was just into. So
plus that WCW. Oof.
And that WCW.
And for the younger crowd out there, if you're listening to it, I believe now WCW, when people say it, it stands for Women Crush Wednesdays.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know if that still happens.
I have a crush on women like every day of the week.
I remember like on Facebook, I would see like somebody would like post a picture of their girlfriend.
Yeah. Yes.
And they put hashtag WCW, and I'm like, what does this have to do with World Championship Wrestling? But in
the late 90s, the two big wrestling companies were WWF, who are now WWE, and WCW. And it was called the Monday Night Wars. And these two companies were huge. It was probably the biggest pro wrestling ever got. Because when I remember, I mean, you've talked about this before. You go to high school, and people were either wearing like an NWO shirt or a Stone Cold shirt. Like it was humongous. It was embedded into pop culture. So, but WCW towards the late 90s was starting to hurt. They were kind of starting to fight. They really fell from grace because at one point they were dominating WWF. They were
82 weeks.
Yeah, literally 82 weeks. There's a great Eric Bischoff podcast that alludes to that. So for 82 weeks, WCW was beating WWF. And then it's like the bottom sort of fell out. All these problems that were always kind of there sort of started taking over. And they were like, we got to do something. So the idea for this movie comes about. And they really put a lot into this movie. They thought this movie was going to come out and no, but they thought
a lot of promotion.
You can tell there's a lot of money into this movie though.
Yeah.
You can tell that. So it's basically the Mac and Me for McDonald's for WCW.
I was gonna say this is like Mac and Me.
Yes. So this is basically a big marketing ploy for WCW, but it's a movie. It's a Hollywood A+ movie with some pretty good actors in this thing.
That is the shocking part of watching it. It's like there are some good actors, and then you actually get into it and you're like, I can see why you don't do too much nowadays.
Yeah, so if I could just describe this movie to somebody who's like, hey, can you just describe this movie? Think of the year 1999. If you go back in time and you went to two 13-year-old boys and you said, write something you think is funny and we'll make it. This is that, but on an aggressive level.
Yes. If I had to describe it, I would say this is a Wish version of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure with wrestling. It in a way.
I guess, but there's no phone booth.
No, there's no phone booth, but it's basically
And they're not time traveling, but I know what you mean. Yeah.
It's two friends. They love Jimmy the King.
Yeah.
Jimmy the King
he's the only wrestler who's a made up wrestler for this. The other ones were actual WCW wrestlers that are in this.
Yeah. I didn't like that.
And John Cena. John Cena shows
Yeah,
up for
John
a
Cena.
background. So
Well,
oddly
I'm
enough,
hearing
you
John
can see
Cena.
him. Yeah, and you can see him in this.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
You can't miss that bleach blonde hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how you could tell it's the 2000s. I don't want to brag, but when I had hair, I had some frosted tips.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
One time when I was in high school, I was like, I want to, because this is when Eminem was huge. I was like, I'm going to blonde my hair. And I let this, one of my friends do it because I thought she would know what she was doing. And this is no knock on her. But the point is, my hair ended up being construction cone orange. So I just rocked that for a summer and I was fine.
It's the 2000s. You could be like,
Yeah.
I'm pumped. I'm going to Warped Tour.
Yeah, honestly, it was fine. My grandpa didn't care for it, but other than that, it was. But so yeah, so the gist of this movie is, and you're right, is these two friends. They're big fans of WCW, especially the King, and the King gets, I guess, dethroned, whatever you want to call it, and gets kicked out of WCW by the evil promoter.
That was supposed
Sinclair, what in his name?
Yeah, Sinclair played by what is that guy? Joe Pat Leone, who just
he's been in quite a few things.
Like every bad guy in every movie, ratted them out on the Matrix. He played he plays pretty much almost every bad guy in every movie.
Yeah. Yes. And this is probably the beginning of when David Arquette was kind of a big name for a little bit there.
Because
had he already done Scream by this time? I can't remember.
Yeah, because I was looking up to see what the time period was. Oh, he also did around this time, a year before, he did Muppets from Space.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about. See, that's my heart and soul. But
96 was Scream, so he's done like Scream 2, Never Been Kissed, which is a pretty decent movie in my opinion. And along there is Ready to Rumble.
Yeah. Now, to set up David Arquette, he actually is a legit wrestling fan. He loves pro wrestling, still is. There's a great documentary called You Can't Kill David Arquette. I highly recommend. It's really, really good.
Nick Gage almost did.
Yeah, that's in there. But I highly recommend it. It's really, really good. But he would also get a lot of flack for this movie because WCW was so wanting this movie to be a big deal that they made him a major part of the actual WCW wrestling, and he famously won the championship belt. And he's the one who gets all the hate for it. He had nothing to do with it. Was it Russo at this time?
Yeah,
it might have been Russo.
Bischoff's not there, then Russo's got to be there.
Yeah, so I understand there's a lot of insider wrestling talk here. So just know we're sorry if you don't understand any of this. But he gets a lot of hate that I am very grateful for. That a lot of people have kind of come around on, because it really does sound like he's just a good guy, because most of the money he actually would donate to other wrestlers who I think who's the one who got paralyzed? Oh gosh, what's his name?
Oh, Droz? Yeah.
And I think he gave some money to either a charity or to the actual Hart family, the Owen Hart family, I think. So it wasn't like he so he really is a really good guy from all accounts, it seems. So anyway, I want to get to that because I honestly think he's actually pretty good in this movie.
I think it's a typical David Arquette character for.
I'm not saying he's going to win an Oscar.
Yeah, but
I'm saying for this type of movie, of the laughs that I did get, he was the cause of most of the couple.
I rewatched it twice. I didn't get. I don't know why. I got one laugh. Like one.
I'll tell you what my biggest laugh was. I didn't have very many. My biggest laugh and it's all from an unlikely source, and I never noticed it before until my rewatch now. And it had been obviously probably well over a decade or so since I've seen this. And after Saturn and Sid Vicious have been beaten up by the old man, and they're sitting on a couch, the camera pans over to him, and Vicious is just sitting there, and he's been beat up, and he's just sobbing. That got me.
My biggest laugh in this is just go along with the story as they're trying to redeem Jimmy the King. They talk him in, and he confronts Diamond Dallas Page, sucker punches him, and then they have this big party afterwards because he finally gets a match to try and get his title back. And they're partying, and they're standing around watching the Nitro Girls, and I'm gonna bring that up too in a minute about how I kind of felt about that in this.
Yeah.
And Mean Gene looks at Jimmy the King, played by Albert Platt, and he's like, don't you do you think people think I'm sexy? And he's like, I think you're sexy, Mean Gene. And that right there, just listening to Mean Gene ask if people thought he was sexy is I think was worth the price of the $3 I spent.
Yeah. You can watch this movie for free right now on YouTube.
Yeah, that's
real quick, my issue with that would be, dear YouTube, I know you listen to the show, obviously you do. If you're going to put a movie for free, which I'm grateful for, by the way, make your commercials the same effing volume as the freaking movie, because I had to turn the movie up to hear it, and then the commercials would come out of nowhere. You never really get a warning for them, and they blow your eardrums out. Hulu, so please fix that.
Hulu does the same thing. That's why I stay away from Hulu unless I'm get into the mindset of what
I will put up with the commercial to see something free because I understand the payoff there. So it doesn't necessarily bother me. But if you're going to do it, do not make this volume so different. It's beyond annoying. I can't stand it. So anyway, that's my little soapbox real quick. But to give you an idea of how aggressive this movie is in trying to be 13-year-old humor, within the first 5 minutes, they already use words that you shouldn't use anymore.
Yes. I noticed that the second time watching it. I was like, I don't think you could say that anymore.
Yeah. Within the first 5 minutes that happens. There's a lot of jokes where the joke is a dude loving another dude kind of jokes.
Yeah.
But when me and you were that age, that was fine. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like I never made those jokes when I was that age. Obviously, I did. I was a idiot kid who thought that was funny. But when you're an adult, now you kind of know better, and it just feels weird seeing it in a mainline movie now because it happens again. One time, you kind of like, okay, but it happens more than once. A lot of it, yeah.
The Slurpee or whatever they call them, where he sticks his finger in his butt and makes.
Now I will say, he goes, Gordy, why does it look like you have your finger in your butt? And he goes, because I do.
That wasn't.
I did enjoy that.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. That was good. But most of it was, like you said, 13-year-old humor for what it was. Like
aggressive 13-year-old humor.
It could have been so much better because it is kind of a redemption story.
Yes.
Where he has to go back, and
there's a lot of little threads here. There's a redemption story for King, and there's like Gordy
coming of age when they look like they're already like 35 years old.
Yeah, because Gordy, I mean, that's David Arquette's character. His dad wants him to be a cop, and there is a really funny scene where like you see him at his house. And his dad and his mom and his sister, and they're all dressed the same as cops with glasses and everything, playing with their guns. I thought that was pretty funny.
Or when he sends them the postcard saying that he's going on the road with King.
And he shoots it.
Yeah, he shoots
puts
it.
on a fridge and shoots it.
But he misses. But that was the other thing too, is how many like containers of liquid did he have?
I thought about that too, because they were in that fridge and they shot in very different areas of that fridge, all leaked. incredibly so.
I'm thinking
Yeah.
to myself, there's a lot of like liquid in that fridge. What do these people not carry food in their fridge? Is it all?
And also, when you first meet his dad shows up at that store
Oh, that
at the
was
very beginning, and he actually Gordy and what's the other guy's name? His best friend. I'm blanking on his name. Sean.
Sean.
It's Sean. So he sees Sean and he acts like he's going to arrest him, and he's frisking him, and he violently grabs his testicles.
And he's like, "What's that?" He was like, "My nuts." And then he was like, "One of these days you could be on the other side of this." And he was like, "What? Me grabbing your nuts?" That that was pretty good.
Yeah,
But
that was good.
kind of
But
a
my point is, it's revealed really quickly that that's his best friend's dad doing that.
Yes. And I love
just
it.
Weird.
I love it how they don't even mention Sean's parents. The only time you hear about his parents is when they're traveling, and
his dad had passed away or something and left him the business that they do, which is what would you call that? It's
draining and cleaning porta potties would be the
best. Yeah. So they're always in like a truck that has all that stuff in it from draining that. And there's also like they go see the WCW Nitro show, and that's when you see King get quote unquote dethroned, and they're driving back and they're really dejected about that, and they wreck the truck, and it goes everywhere, right?
Yes.
And then they never, I don't know if you noticed this or not, because they don't go home after that. They stay around and they catch a ride with some nuns, and they never take a shower. They've never showered or anything. No. There's no way they don't still smell.
And then they try and blame the nuns for farting. So maybe it was them the whole entire time, just smelling.
Yes. Yeah. It's got to be, right?
Yeah. You know what?
I also think you could have more fun with the nuns instead of just them knowing that devil song. I mean, that's kind of an easy joke, I think.
Do you want to hear some of my notes and everything that I wrote down about
this? I sure do.
Okay. So first of all, why heel DDP? He is probably the greatest baby face in WCW history, where he could do a promo, have a good match, and everything else, but yet they make heel DDP in this movie.
Yeah, the only thing I can think of is he's one of the better talkers, right? Yeah. So that's the only thing I can think of, but I know what you mean. Because especially at this time, he's definitely one of the biggest faces. That's a good guy in wrestling terms. And I mean, his diamond cutter is such a big move. You know, that's the RKO now, the people who know Randy Orton. But it is a wild, as a fan of WCW and knowing WCW, that is a wild choice of him being heel. Because most of the time, honestly, he's a good guy until WWF decides that he's going to stalk the Undertaker, whoever. I think it was Undertaker, wasn't it? It was weird. He stalked his Undertaker's wife or something.
Not even stupid his wife anymore.
Yeah, so dumb. So dumb.
Yeah. I don't get Oliver Platt. Like, I feel I do, but then I don't. Like, and I feel bad saying this because you're way more of a Mick Foley fan than I am, but we're both Mick Foley fans. And like, I don't know, Oliver Platt doesn't seem like a guy that would look the way that sounds horrible. With the way he looks in the wrestling industry, it doesn't seem like a guy that always gets everything. Like, he doesn't.
Yeah.
In the
like
words
Mick
of
Foley, like, I know what you're saying, because Mick Foley,
Cornette.
Yeah, because if you look at him just from a aesthetic point of view, the closest I think would be Mick Foley, right? Kind of a guy who looks like an everyday guy, right? Kind of looks like an everyday guy, maybe a little chunky-ish kind of dude. And you pull for him for that reason. Mick Foley did win the title like twice, but every time he did, it was a humongous deal. The way they present King here is that he's always been on top. He's like the biggest star in WCW in the world. And, and it is kind of weird to see somebody like that. Like, if I had that
And with
Jimmy the King, I would book him way differently.
yeah, with the king gimmick too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it seems very childish
Yeah.
for
And
this time period in wrestling. So that's
yeah.
that was
And he
one of
didn't
my
yell puppies once.
no. That's what I thought they were going for was like a Jerry the King Lawler. And then you look
Yeah.
at Lawler, but even Lawler has I felt more charisma than this character did.
Yeah, and that's nothing against Oliver Platt, who I think is actually a really good actor.
He is a good actor.
But if you actually go into the behind the scenes of this, I think it was the wrestler Kenyon who actually would do the wrestling and the stunts for him. And he had to put on a quote unquote a fat suit. I can say these things because I'm a fat guy, so I can say these things. And so there's a lot of fun behind the scenes stuff with this movie.
I can't unsee Canyon for every single bump.
I know, man. Gosh, what an underrated guy he was.
Who's better than Canyon?
Nobody.
Rose McGowan looks out of place. Sasha,
yes,
Miss Sasha, the Nitro girl. Like it just looks like somebody was a fan and they were like, "Hey, we're gonna put you in there." I know I'm tearing this movie down so badly. And then her character, I feel, for as big as an actress as she was, really didn't carry anything. I mean, how many lines? And all she did was betray them and help Saturn.
but her thing is weird too. That her whole arc is she's obviously been set up to betray them. She's trying to get information, so she starts this relationship with Gordy. But it's alluded to, and he says to his dad when he wrote to his dad that they completely had sex. By the way,
yeah,
because he goes, "I'm not a virgin anymore." So like they really do not make her character look good at all here. Very attractive lady. I think she's actually a really good actress. But this is like a weird part. And again, I'm looking at this also as a guy who was heavy into WCW wrestling. And I knew who the Nitro Girls were. And I'm like, she's not a Nitro Girl. Was the first thing I remember ever thinking when I was watching this the first time.
It didn't make sense. Little just quick statement. Hell yeah, Mike Tenay.
Me too. Yes.
So underrated.
Yes.
This is my okay. I'm gonna skip one. I've already said who's better than Canyon. Because that was in there. This was a typical. I'll read because now I'm on like my blanket statement, but I'll read that at the end. So this was, I felt, a typical safe storyline, which I have no problem with in movies. Most recent one that I noticed had typical redo safe storyline was Sonic, even though that wasn't that recent, but it was the most recent movie that I could think of that I watched. Yeah. Where, okay, person from another dimension or whatever comes to Earth, kind of like this one. Two friends set out to do something, but it's just like we alluded, written by a couple of like 13-year-old boys. Like there was no, how can we add depth?
Yeah. I would argue the Sonic movie is way, way better. And you can definitely tell this sort of story, like you're saying, but you need to put your spin on it, and it needs to offer something, whether that be heart or be incredibly funny. The problem here with a lot of this humor is that it's very dated humor, and it's done so even without making references.
Yeah,
because a lot of times you make reference humor and that will date your humor, but just the style and type of humor in this dates it really, really horribly.
I just didn't get it. This one really made me mad, as I didn't pick it up before, but now I've watched this and I did. There's no theme music.
Yes, same. Like, what? Just give me DDP's knockoff Nirvana music, please.
If DDP walks out of somewhere and
there's no self high five starting it out,
if I don't hear self high five, I'm pissed.
Yes.
Come on. That was the one piece as I watch old Thunders and stuff. And I find it funny that they dub over Chris Jericho's theme music with the Walls of Jericho every time he walks out, if you watch it on the network. But that is one like entrance music that I remember, other than obviously like the NWO, Ric Flair from WCW. that is like the one where you're like, yeah, when you heard, like you said, that knockoff Nirvana, and then you heard Self.
That one was big for me. Goldberg's theme was big for me, and those are probably your biggest. And Sting's theme, I remember really getting hyped for the Crow Stings theme, as they say.
Martin Landau, who played, what was his name?
He played the old man, so it's a long name. I can't remember.
Yeah, Sal Bandini.
He's probably my favorite character in this.
It's Stu Hart.
Oh,
anything about wrestling history? They were like,
obvious.
Hey, how can we get a Stu Hart character in this?
Yeah, 1,000,000%. But I really like this character quite a bit.
Yeah, he was good, but I was like, couldn't they've like made him wrestling family? But a minute I heard the screaming and he was like, "Oh, I was just finishing up with this high school wrestling team," and he's like,
and they're all beat up and stuff.
Yeah. What is? Oh, he goes, "Remember, don't let go of the hold until you hear cartilage snap or they poop their pants."
Yeah.
This one we might have a disagreement on. Just like the Nitro girls on Nitro, in this movie, they are unnecessary.
Okay. I think in today's era, you might have a case because it's obvious. I mean, and this movie does not hide it. It's obvious that they're there for one reason, right?
And it's so not just subtle.
No, not at all.
It's so, like, once again, it feels like
there's no nudity in this movie. There's no nudity. Even though there's a scene where the two guys are like naked. They're not naked because they show the whole thing.
Just straight peeking in on them in the room.
Yeah. Perving 1,000,000%. They're very incredibly attractive women. I was very much at the right age for the Nacho Girls when they were a thing. And I'd be a giant hypocrite if I said that I didn't enjoy looking at them at that age. And I still do.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna lie. They're very incredibly attractive women. But I know what you're saying. It's not like this is the Laker girls or somebody, right?
Yeah, they didn't speak other than Rose McGowan, the character.
Yeah, who's not even a real Nacho girl. No knock to her.
I could see if they spoke, but literally all they did was dance. And then at the one scene right before the Mean Gene Am I Sexy thing, they like take off these tiny skirts and they just have their underwear on.
Yeah.
That is it. And who is it? Oh, Sean looks up at the sky and he thanks the Lord that they did that. And I'm just thinking, okay, on Nitro, when they're showing the Nitro scenes, go with it because that's part of your thing.
Yeah.
Them just dancing at a random
after party. Yeah.
At an after party in a dirty parking lot underneath an overpass.
At an RV.
Yeah.
Yes.
That hits. I think that's where I was like, that part is definitely unnecessary.
Yeah. 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 You're not wrong. You're not wrong. I actually agree with you completely there. So,
and then also, did you catch this as a Star Wars fan? When Gordy is playing the trick on Sean, where Sean's in the porta potty.
Oh yeah.
Turns on like the suction thing. When he turns it off, did you notice it was the sound effects from? It sounds like the sound effects from Empire Strikes Back when the hyperdrive failed.
No, I did not. I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah, it makes that.
Oh, yes, it does. Yes. Yes. You're right. It really does.
And this is self-explanatory, but I just felt like I had to write this down just because of the whole Monday Night Wars thing that you were talking about. Why didn't the King just go to WWF?
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure they're not going to mention their competition.
No.
And finally, my blanket statement for WCW, Ready to Rumble, is this movie shows everything wrong with WCW at this time.
Yes, it does.
With things where you want it kind of more of in a storyline, they didn't give it to you because they felt that they could flash stupid jokes and girls at you.
Yeah. You're not wrong. There are parts of it that I like you said, that they don't really give enough time to. Like the whole Sean, and he has this one girl that he has a big crush on when it's obvious the other girl's the ones for him.
Mm-hmm.
And that does come to tuition like it should, because she's always been supportive of him. I really feel like he could have given more time to that, and that would have meant way more than what we get. For sure. And that's a much more likable storyline to me. The whole thing with Gordy and his dad just wanting his dad's approval, but his dad doesn't want to accept him for who he is, that type of thing. You can really have some really great moments with that. And there are a couple, like at the very end, where his dad is obviously very proud of his son for the cop character. I did like that a lot, but give me more of that. I need to see why he would want his dad's approval, because all you see of his dad before that moment is he's a complete a-hole.
Yeah.
Right. To his son. So just give me some moments where like you can see why. I think that's my main problem with this whole movie, is that I really wanted this WCW movie to be good. And the fact of the matter is it has no heart in it.
It has.
I don't mean Bret Hart, but there is no Bret Hart in this either.
Well,
I mean,
could it be Goldberg's in it?
Yeah, as a movie from 1 to 10, Goldberg's a 0, and that's the problem here, is there's no heart in this movie. It's way more of, you can have a really fun, comedic, over the top, stupid movie, but it's got to have some soul in it, and I don't think this movie has much of a soul there.
It's exactly what you said. It's Mac and Me.
It's calories, right? It's just calories. It's empty calories.
It's just like Mac and Me. It's how much stuff can we push down, and I don't feel they push enough. Like Mac and Me was shoving Coke and McDonald's down your throat. Like,
yeah, but at least I knew Coke could save an alien life form's life. I don't get that here.
This movie, I don't think you see enough of what WCW is.
Yeah.
And everything else.
I mean, there's a big twist big turn at the end where King's son turns on him. And that should be such a bigger moment for this movie. But you don't care. You just don't care.
Because by that time, like, there's no like setup of like him actually going to the thing or anything else.
I do like the running gag
in the ring.
I do like the running gag about his teeth being bad. And when King goes to his ex-wife and goes, "I'm going to win that money, and by God, I'm going to get our son a good dentist." Yeah. I did like that line quite a bit.
So these were the wrestlers that they had in here.
Yeah.
Obviously Goldberg, DDP, Sting makes a brief. I think you wanted to push Sting, but this was Crow Sting. So
but I could use more Sting though. Give me more Sting. I think unless you're a Sting person and you know who Sting is, I think the layman coming to this who doesn't know anything about WCW watching this movie, they're not going to understand why that's a big moment at all, really, because he has 2 scenes at most, right?
Well, yeah,
or 3 technically, because there's that scene at the end where he's like, where he hits the one kid, and then the other kid's like, "Do me," and he hits him too. That's pretty funny. But it's also set up by a stupid joke. So yeah,
Booker T, who around this time is probably about to get getting his big push.
Yeah, I've always been a big Booker T fan, so I'm all for as much. But yeah, oh yes.
Macho Man Randy Savage.
Bam, I have a hot take. Take. Let me see if you agree with me here. I think that Booker T's bookend is way better than the Rock Bottom.
Oh, 100%.
Okay, I was hoping 100%. The Rock Bottom is fine. I like it way better than the People's Elbow as an actual wrestling move, but Booker T's version I liked way more.
That personally. Harlem Heat music is absolutely that he used to come out to. Absolutely.
And people don't realize Booker T used to do like a flipping leg drop off the top rope. That was freaking cool. That's all get out. All right. Sorry. I'm a big Booker T guy.
Macho Man, Bam Bam Bigelow, Sid Vicious, my man, Juventud Guerrero, Kurt Hennig, Disco Inferno, Billy Kidman, Conan, Rey Mysterio Jr., Harry Saturn, Prince Iakea before he was the wrestler or artist formerly known as Prince Iakea, Van Hammer, and I'm going to say Gorgeous George, but not the Gorgeous George, the wrestler, the one that Macho Man had with him because he bought the gimmick.
Yes. So, but you named all of those. I would say 3 or 4 of them actually speak. DDP talks, Macho Man talks, Goldberg talks, Sting talks. I can't remember if any of the other ones really do. Besides that one scene where Sid Vicious is sobbing, which I enjoyed quite a bit. Now, side note, if you want a great laugh, just look on YouTube, Sid Vicious Goldberg, and enjoy those scenes of when Goldberg smashed his car, and Sid Vicious runs out and jumps on top of the smashed car. It's comically smashed, by the way. Like it from a cartoon, it jumps up and just screams Goldberg over and over again. It's one of the greatest moments of any sort of media.
Oh, because I was gonna say, why isn't Hogan?
He's probably doing movies, man.
Because this came out in 99. It probably was filmed in about 99 or so. Hogan,
98 ish is probably when it was filmed. 98, 99, around in there. Yeah.
So where's Hogan?
He's the third man.
Isn't it weird that Hogan's his biggest moment, like in WCW, came at Bash at the Beach, and his lowest moment in WCW came at Bash at the Beach?
That makes sense, right? That's how you do a career right there.
What? I don't know. There's like other guys. We got no.
I'd say his lowest moment was any season of Hogan Knows Best, but that's me.
Used to watch that all the time.
I did too. By the way, his son, giant a-hole, even in the show. At least he didn't hide it, I guess.
Got to go with what you got.
Yeah.
Now, do you think there was any other wrestlers that were missing? Like, I'm thinking, where's Nash? Where's Hogan?
Nash, Hall, Hogan.
Could be on this.
Yeah.
Isn't this part of his
This might be when he was having his issues.
Yeah. Like Booker T should have been more.
But yeah, I don't understand why you don't let Booker T at least talk. It is charismatic, I feel. So you could at least have him talk a little bit.
Why Disco Inferno? I like this.
Yeah, okay. All right. So here we go. I'm glad you said that. Okay. All right. Toward the end of the movie, when Goldberg shows up with reinforcements to help King out because he's getting manhandled by a whole bunch of other wrestlers, the bad guy wrestlers. His team that he comes up with, it's Goldberg, it's Billy Kidman, it's who's the other one? It's like 4 or 5 of them.
Isn't it Booker T comes out too?
Booker T, yes, but the one who doesn't make any sense to me
is Disco
Inferno.
Why is Van Hammer? Those are the two guys where I'm looking at this and I'm thinking to myself, no disrespect to Disco Inferno and Van Hammer.
No, I'll disrespect them because Disco Inferno, the guys I don't care for. But when I was into WCW, I always was like, I just want to see him hit that chart buster.
Where's Alex Wright? Come on.
I mean, Alex Wright, in my opinion, underrated.
Yeah, he is in mine. Where's Das Wonder Kid?
Yeah.
But I don't.
Where's Rey Mysterio?
He was in.
Oh yeah, he was.
It's Unmasked Ray. This is cool.
Oh yeah. You're right. Yeah, because he actually gets injured doing that, right? Yeah, he's actually in a wrestling moment when they go to Nitro.
Yeah, he does like that pop-up Frankensteiner.
Yeah, you're right.
This is Filthy Animals era, I believe.
It is.
So why is Kidman? Yeah, like they didn't keep anything good because when Kingsmen came out to help him, when they did like the reenactment of the Montreal Screwjob type thing to get the belt off of King, it was Conan, Kurt Hennig, and I forgot who else came out. And I'm thinking to myself, why is Conan not with? Oh, and Billy Kidman. And the Filthy Animals, wasn't it Kidman, Mysterio, and Conan?
Yeah, that was the Filthy Animals. Yeah.
But yet they're like, no, we're gonna break them. Like there was, once again, there's no cohesion. There's no stick to. I understand WWF was all over the place at some points too. I'm still wondering, even today, like even before WrestleMania 32, I'm wondering what was in the lockbox Shane McMahon was talking about.
I want to know who that mysterious GM was that one time, but we never found out. Yeah.
Wasn't it Hornswoggle?
No, the one that was they'd always read emails from.
Yeah, wasn't it Hornswoggle?
I didn't think it. I don't think they ever said who it was. I'm pretty sure
they pulled him out from underneath the ring with a computer.
No, that's not right. I remember that.
So,
that can't be right.
But there's no cohesion. There's no depth.
No, Hornswoggle was he ended up being Vince McMahon's son. Remember?
No, I do remember. I did not watch at this point, but watching videos, I believe Hornswoggle was the. I
think you're getting confused with being Vince McMahon's son, because Fit Finley would start taking care of him. Fit Finley, another underrated wrestler, by the way.
Yeah, I watched them. Yeah, the anonymous Raw GM revealed. And
it'll be like a throwaway thing because I legit don't remember that.
It's Hornswoggle.
I don't know. I think you're in on this. I think you and Meltzer got some behind the scenes thing going on you haven't told me about.
It was Hornswoggle.
I refuse to believe that. He's Vince McMahon's son.
It's
nothing else.
It's right here. Michael, the Hornswoggle was revealed to be the anonymous Raw general manager after the character returned for one night on July 9th, 2012.
I don't think that's true.
Now, there was one in 2014 that made a brief return to television, but it was removed from Power.
Sure. All right, whatever.
The first one, Mr. McMahon. Yeah. So, yeah, Hornswoggle was one of them.
No, he was Vince McMahon's son. No, we've been over this.
Okay. So back to Ready to Rumble, WCW, because they don't get enough love. But that's all it was.
Oh, and by the way, when this movie comes out, WCW is done. I think that same year, right? No, or did they make it a little bit more time
left?
Or did they make it to 2001? I can't remember when it actually gets sold to Vince McMahon.
I believe they make it to 2001.
Well, they're not around for much longer.
Can I tell you even something more crazy about me seeing this in the movie theaters?
Please.
I saw it with my girlfriend at the time.
Oh, and that's why she's not with you anymore, right? She's like, this guy's going to take me to this kind of movie.
It took me some terrible movies. But then again, I think I would want to watch the ones that, let's see. When did they go out of business? March 26th, 2001.
All right. So it wasn't too much longer.
Yeah. And they were done.
Yeah.
For WCW. Long live WCW.
Yeah, and they got sold for really cheap too, by the way.
Yeah. 2.5.
Yeah, I mean that's not cheap for me, but like for a business of that magnitude, that's pretty cheap. Yeah.
The guys just made bank sitting on those guaranteed contracts for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, I was a giant Goldberg kid. So when they got sold, I was like, man, I'm going to get to see Goldberg taking on Stone Cold. Like I was getting so excited about that. No.
But
when I got older, I was like, you know what? If they're going to pay me and I'm that much money to not do anything, I get it.
I think it was only Booker T and DDP were the ones that kind of
stuck.
Yeah, they are.
Billy Kidman was there for a little bit, and he actually ended up getting a background role. He would end up being like an agent or whatever they call those there for a long time. But as an own air thing, Booker T, I think, still had a fairly good career, and was still he actually, I would dare say, got even bigger in WWE.
He's probably the only one that got.
Oh yeah.
The only one.
DDP was a giant miss for them. They could have done so much with that guy, and what they did was so stupid.
Booker T's probably the only one that they didn't like extremely Barry.
Yeah, the other ones they seem like it felt like they went out of their way almost to
Sting.
say, yeah. Well, I mean, yeah. Well, that was so much later because he was one of those guys who was getting paid.
Sting. Yeah, because Sting.
Because they get the thing
European-
is WWF buys WCW, and if you're a wrestling nerd, you're thinking like, oh man, you're already in your mind thinking of all these great matches you're going to get. But the reality was Goldberg, Hall, Nash, Hogan, Sting, all these big top stars don't come over.
No.
And you get Booker T, who's amazing and incredible, and I'm so glad that he actually got to go, and his legacy was really good over there. But you had like Buff Bagwell. No disrespect to Buff Bagwell,
Buff Daddy.
yeah, but that was like they're showing off of WCW. That was like one of their.
If I'm not mistaken, he's buff, and he's got the stuff.
Yes. And he's got a mom on a pole match.
No, forklift.
Was it a forklift?
Yeah, you can put a mom on a pole. That's rude. Not Rick Rude. But that is...
In my memory, they took Judy Bagwell and they put her up on that pole. And she was really uncomfortable.
Who is the greatest mom in wrestling? Is it Mama Cornette or is it Judy Bagwell? Or Linda McMahon?
Oh man.
Let's do a little side and then we'll get into what characters we would have played and then our ranking.
I'm going to go Judy. I'm going to rank these Judy, Mama Cornette, then Linda.
I'm going to go Mama Cornette because I'm brainwashed by Jim Cornette. Mama Cornette, Linda McMahon, then Judy Bagwell. Yeah, because Judy Bagwell should have not been in that position to put herself.
You mean literally on a pole, that position?
Yeah.
Pole position.
And Linda McMahon to represent her in the, the Fatal 4-Way match for WrestleMania 2000. I do believe she had Mick Foley with her.
Oh man, now you're trying to talk me into it. You know I'm such a Foley mark. That's not fair.
I know. Yeah. See, the minute I said it.
That's not fair. Yeah. That's a good question though. Yeah. But let's talk about this. Who would you be in this movie, Andrew?
Oh my goodness. Who would I? Probably the first time where I'm like, do I have to? Since back at me. I think I would want to be Sal Bandini. I think that was another fun character that they didn't get into in depth on. Was he a champion?
Yeah.
Where did he wrestle?
And his humor works because it's mostly like physical, over the top, goofy humor.
Yes.
So it kind of stands the test of time. Yeah.
I think
that's my favorite character in this movie. So yeah, I don't blame you.
Yeah, that was my favorite. And we didn't get enough.
Yeah. I think my hope would be that character, but I think people would cast me as Arquette's character would be my guess.
I think you would do a better job than David Arquette.
I'm not going to say that because I do like David Arquette, but I appreciate that. I'll take that as a giant compliment.
I think you could add a little bit more substance where
I don't think he was asked to add any substance.
Yeah, that is true. There is none. And how do we want to rate this wonderful movie?
All right, so this is man.
What could we pick that's very WCW-ish?
No.
What just screams WCW?
All right, so how many Vince Russos out of 5 would you give
this? You're killing me, bro. I give this movie, and this is way more.
Oh, by the way, if you told me Vince,
forgive me, Mr. Cornette, for using his real name. I have to ask for forgiveness because you cannot use his real name
in vain, especially.
You could use it in vain, I believe, on that one. Or not, Mr. Cornette, you can't. But 1.5 Vince Russos.
Oh man, I think you've been incredibly generous.
I'm giving it the 1.5 because there is some nostalgia value, even though this came out later. Like I'm almost probably like 18 at this point, if I'm not already. Yeah, I'm about to graduate high school or go in.
Yeah, I was about to say I graduated high school in 2001.
Yeah,
this came out the year before.
So I'm in high school, but the other great nostalgia thing, even though it was years later after this came out, we used to yell the "I will rule you" to
Yeah.
each other at work just randomly.
We could have called this how many upside down diamond cutters would you
Whoa.
give us?
Yeah, what is a double diamond cutter? Did you notice that?
I don't know.
I'm ashamed Mike Tenay had to read double diamond cutter because he was like, this doesn't make sense. What is it?
It's just a 3D. It's all it is. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's the Dudley Boys finishing move.
It's a double diamond cutter. But yeah, 1.5, just because I do have some fun with it, yelling at work, jumping out at people going, I will rule you.
Yeah.
But other than that,
when this movie first came out, I would have been the perfect audience for this. WCW fan. I love stupid comedies. And it's got a lot of my favorite wrestlers in it.
it's got a pretty decent wrestler lineup. There's a couple, like we mentioned, that should maybe not have been in there.
So I should be the perfect audience for this. I remember I want to say I was 17 probably when this came out. 17, if I'm about to graduate the next year, 16, 17. Yeah. Perfect age for this movie, more than likely at that time. I do remember quoting this movie quite a bit after it. Like what the diamond is upside down. I definitely said that line a few times.
We're not eating it today, boys.
Yeah. Yeah. Rewatching it now, though, there's a lot of attempts at humor, and I'm a big, giant comedy apologist, right? Especially if there's humor from a certain time that doesn't last till now. I try to think of, back then type of thing.
Yeah.
But I sort of feel even back then, this was aggressively immature. Like it's going out of its way to be as immature as it is. It's trying to be what it is. It doesn't take itself seriously. I will give it that much. I think your 1.5 is really fair. And the fact of the matter is, I will always have a soft spot in my soul for WCW. So that's going to give it at least a 1 for me. And I did enjoy a couple of the really stupid one-off jokes that are in this. That the really dumb humor, like the finger in his butt thing, and he goes, "Because I do." That was pretty funny. And Sid Vicious sobbing on the couch was really funny. And that old man was fantastic. So I will give us also 1.5.
So I just looked this up on Rotten Tomatoes. The Tomatometer gives this 22%.
That's much higher than I thought, if I'm being honest.
The audience score, brace yourself, 52%.
Man, audience score is normally higher for movies anyway, but that seems way higher than I would have thought. You should have let me guess before you gave that number.
Okay. So this will make you laugh too. Critics' consensus: humor at its lowest that isn't funny for kids and it's insulting to adults.
That feels right, though.
I think that's exactly what we said. And I just looked this up just because I wanted to see how bad. But yeah,
me and you, even on this show, it's obvious that you love stupid humor, right? Yeah. The movies we reviewed that we really liked are just chock full of stupid humor.
But
this doesn't do it well, though.
There's a delivery in it. Like if you watch a Mel Brooks movie, there is stupid, humor in there, but the way that they deliver,
it's all played straight.
Yeah,
which really helps it. Not everything in this movie feels like after they say a line, I'm really surprised they didn't look at the camera and just wink at you.
I judge a movie now too is how many times do I press up on the remote to see how much time is left.
I did do that a couple of times too. Yeah.
I
did the same thing.
And this is only what, about an hour?
It's like an hour 40, something like
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
And you got to do that. That's pretty bad.
Yeah. I would agree. Yeah. And there's a lot of just jumping all over the place. I don't feel it's really plotted well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, like there's no consistency in the storyline. Everything
Yeah.
seems to
It feels very disjointed.
move way too fast. Where,
Yeah.
not to say anything, but where's the montage? If you're gonna move things fast, you need
There's
a
no
montage.
training montage for King.
No,
Not at all.
For what? Like maybe 2 days with Sal?
Yeah.
Doesn't work out at all. Doesn't do anything, and all of a sudden he's ready for this triple cage death match.
Yeah, and I mean they literally go from like just a few minutes before, like you don't like it's not shown that King even remotely is appreciative of these two guys, to him begging Gordy to come with him and leave his house, right?
So
Because he needs him. It feels disjointed because the whole time, until like it just doesn't give that relationship between the three enough time.
no. That's the same thing with the whole Rose McGowan thing. Is when he finds out, he never even calls her out about that she's
Yeah.
working with Sinclair the whole entire time, and doesn't even mention that he knows about that, and that relationship was a day.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, that's there's
Well,
like,
no, it was a couple nights because they went to her house, remember? But yeah.
I wanted to puke the way that.
But it was very obvious. I mean, it's very obvious because it's happening way too fast.
Yeah, and you knew, if you watch movies, you knew that she was working for him.
Yeah, something was up. Yeah.
Yeah. That she was not in love. And you knew that's exactly who they were gonna get, because he made the comment when they went to the Nitro show in the beginning where he was like, "Oh, I like Sasha."
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and then Sinclair's like, "I'm gonna make you the head Nitro girl." But when we first saw her before that,
She already kind of was, right?
Yeah, she was in front and center.
Yeah.
So aren't you the head Nitro girl that way?
And even before that, don't even. And if she's not, they never ever tell you who is.
No. So they just seem to say stuff to say stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. I think we've been pretty fair on this movie.
Yeah.
1.5, I think, is fair. It is what it is. If you want to see it, you can watch it for free. Don't pay for it. For the love of everything sacred, do not pay for this.
Unless you're like,
watch it on YouTube. Just have your volume control with you because you're going to need it. And
you have like a huge WCW collection, then
that I would understand. Like if you just need it for your WCW collection, sure. And I don't think you're going to be spending too much on it anyway.
I would love to meet somebody. You know who would be great if they were to do this? And even though they're older, I'm not even gonna lie, I just thought about this. It would be cool if they did something like this, but the Gordy and Sean characters were Matt Cardona and Brian Myers. I almost feel like they could have played it a little bit better.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because I think you would have had more of Brian Myers as that straight. I don't feel like there was a proper straight guy. And a fun guy. Because any buddy movies like this, other than maybe Bill and Ted, you got a straight guy that can play it straight, and then the other guy kind of gets the thing. Barley Spade, Wilder Pryor, just naming a few that like nailed it.
Yeah, you got to have someone in there who kind of balances it out to make it work. That doesn't really happen here. Yeah,
no, it's just goofy. But
yeah, if they redid this movie today, like here's how I would fix it: is toss out all the really immature humor and put in stupid humor that doesn't date it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, look, I would look at, I would look at all those fun spoof movies me and you love for inspiration, and then throw in a bunch of known wrestlers from today into it, maybe a couple legends, and that would be a really fun movie.
Or maybe also put in like what is it? Prologue, where it shows them like, it gives them like a time period, 19, came out in like 2000. show you like 1991 or something like that, and they're little
Yeah.
kids and they're rooting for Jimmy, or they just discovered Jimmy the King.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
now they're older, where you can
I like this
see
idea.
their
Yes.
love.
Yeah.
Or even though just show maybe year intervals of their love growing.
Yeah.
Until that point.
I agree.
Called filmmaking, people. I don't do it for a living, but damn, will I critique it at every moment.
I'm not qualified to, but I will do it.
I will do it. I will
Yeah.
tear any movie apart and tell you that I love it. But that is it. Thank you for listening. Make sure you check us out on our social medias, YouTube, Facebook, Patreon. Check out the merch shop. All links are below. And Johnny, you got anything you want to add?
Nothing at all. I think we've done it.
All right. Well, with that being said, good morning, good afternoon, and good night.
I will rule you.